I was born in Wales to Welsh, Scottish parents. I was brought up in Bishopston, close to the sea, and taken down to Pulty, apparently on my father's shoulders every day when he came home from work. And this is obviously where my love of the sea comes from. Tuscany is where I sort of soak things up, and then Gower I come back, and sort of Wales I come back and sort of gush them all out really, and put them on board and put my thoughts down. And Tuscany shows me how simple Wales is. I think Wales is like the siren. It calls you back to be shipwrecked. The siren will sing a song of the sea, and it should call you back to the sea, and you will be shipwrecked by it.
Yeah. What you mean halfway down?
Sketching is the sort of collecting of material, looking for the not obvious in things, looking for a story always. It's got to be allegorical, it's got to have some sort of story behind it. The thing I like most about sketching is looking at the thing I'm sketching and putting it on the page without looking at it. Where it hits the page is the most interesting. I've usually got a little tiny sketchbook with me all the time. There's a nice shadow of the down the side there now, very nice. Oh look, the shadows come across the house now, see it there? Of the other houses? The unusual angles of the buildings, because they were all built very haphazardly by lots of different builders who had lots of different ideas as to what a dwelling should be. And they all produced these unusual shapes. How wonderful things are. Light often is just the way light hits things, or the colour of a roof. I have to sketch it so I can write in on the roof. This roof had yellow lichen on it, I can't write yellow lichen unless I've sketched the roof in anyway. So we've got the sketch, then we've got the preparation of the boards en masse. So there'll be at least, in the studios, usually 40 or 50 at least. So I'll work on them, but I work on them completely abstractly. You can work out how the light effect works, but there's always a surprise of how you see something that gets a little patch of light on it. You know? Yeah. I don't know where it comes from, but other buildings around are affected, and it gets these little patches of lovely dappled light. I don't know this one's going to be. I have no idea whatsoever. Completely without thought up to a certain point, and then after a couple of days I'll start to think of colours that I'm looking about at that are going to influence the colour of the board. So once the boards have got colour influence, they might have one mark, there might be a stroke that I'll do, and I'll go, there's the top of a flower there, or there's the bottom of a cup. Right, let's go outside and do a bit of flicking.
Is this essential to your technique? Do you always use this technique?
No, not always.
Yeah.
But to completely break the consciousness of it, then you use the water and its movement as taking the stuff back completely to abstract, so that I can't control, when it's on the floor, I can't control the water, can I? I can control the colour that I want to put on it, but I can't control where it goes, because I don't know how wet it's going to be, how dry it's going to be. So the more abstract I do that, the better. And then when it's dry, it suggests something natural, or nature is the thought that always comes into my mind. When I've done those splodges and I put them up on the board, nature is the word that comes into mind every time, because it's a natural process. I want to keep the paint marks at the end as interesting as the paint marks were when I wasn't thinking about it at the beginning. Knowing very well that if you keep this freedom going through all the processes, you will end up with something with depth. It won't be a shallow painting, it won't be a painting that's very obvious, cliched, or contrived, or has a very obvious technique about it, because it's something I've worked out completely for myself. And the closest one in technique is Sickert, in that he couldn't work unless the ground was prepared. And very, very, very similar application of paint. I've read endlessly about him, and he was interested in the colour field underneath the painting, which I didn't know he was until I read very recently. That's what he used to do, and he was interested in putting the mark down and leaving the mark be what the mark was. So in musical terms, you've got a harmony already going, you've got your key signature. You know what key you're in, you know you're in a very bright major, or you know you're in a very dark minor. Well, I moved to Arezzo because I worked with, I then found out about a singing teacher called Slavska Taskova Paoletti. Then decided I liked the village that her house was near. I decided this was the place to be. Well, coming up to my singing teacher's country house, She's Bulgarian, she's had a world career, she's a very fine interpreter of contemporary roles, very, very fine pianist, fine musician.
Tunnel carpale.
Oi 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 oi.
Allora. Avete visto cosa ha fatto Andrew qui? Questo lo devi prendere.
I did this.
E
per Natale, secondo me.
Per Natale, questa è una cantante, forse io.
Ella mi fu rapita e quando c'è ne brevi istanti prima che il mio presagio interno sull'orma corsa ancora mi spingesse.
I'm very lucky in that, from my family's point of view, that I come from a line of tenors for at least 200 years. My grandfather, when I used to go to church on a Sunday, was singing top tenor and belting it out, and his brother was also standing next to him belting out top tenor, and friends with the organ player, and after the service I'd get to have a little tinkle of the organ and play the organ, and I was just surrounded by tenors throughout my childhood. My grandfather's father was a professional singer and sang for the royal family when they came into Swansea, and had his memorial concert was at the Albert Hall. Very similar shaped head we've had for hundreds of years, because there's many photographs of my relatives and we all look exactly the same. We've all got treble chins, if not quadruple ones, but we all look exactly the same.